Good evening. This is Arlo Johnson in Vernon, BC, coming to you on July the 11th at 7:45 p.m. It's not that warm today. Well, could be worse. 81 degrees Fahrenheit. Uh, I forget what that is in Celsius, but it's pretty reasonable. Well, it's summer. What can you expect? Yes, I hope everything, you know, got, got you in a pretty good place today. Your day is, if you're in North America, you're heading towards evening. So I hope your day's been pretty good. Our day doesn't end till midnight according to the clock. God's way of days is different. The day would be ending here in about another hour and a half to 2 hours. In fact, the day ended at sundown, and then a new day starts. That makes total sense to me. But we're smarter than God is, so we do it at midnight, in the middle of the night. We have a new day start and an old day quit. No one around, nothing, just quits then. Same with the new year. That's even worse. God's new year starts in the month, it says in the month of Abib, which I believe is April. And I think it's around the 12th of April. Generally, I would say spring is on its way then for sure. A new year is starting. Green grass is starting, green leaves, this and that, plants, flowers. There's things being born, all kinds of wildlife being born, domestic animals being born. Human natures are born on year round, but it makes a ton of difference when you call something what it is. But we're smarter. We start on January the 1st, right at the stroke of midnight. And it could be like in a snowbank in the middle of Saskatchewan at 20 below. Yeah. Well, I guess that's the way it is when you live with smart people. What can you say? We're the ones who do it. We think we know better and always think we know better. And, all these generations of people, I was thinking the other day, I wonder how many generations there's actually been. A generation is generally like 25 to 30 years. What's 30 years divided into 6,000 or so? Many. 1,000 would be 2,000. I imagine it's close to about 2,000 generations. Now, you know what is absolutely amazing is, after all these generations of people having families, growing up, doing this, my ancestry goes back, bang, 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 back. The woman in Sweden made me up a genealogy to 1776. That's as far as she could go right then. Well, it goes back all the way because it was never broken. It's broken now because my sons don't have any children. Don't plan on having any. I'm the last one in this lineup of this family. My grandfather came here to Canada in 1904 with my father, who was 2 years old. Raised, 9 children of his own, and took in 2 more in the 1918 flu. When the neighbors died with the flu, he took in their daughters, 2 daughters. His wife had died in 1918 in childbirth, and the flu was in, what was it, 1920 or something like that. And that guy, I really admired him. I was born in his house on his farm. Dad was farming that place, and when he first got married. And I was born upstairs in the northeast bedroom, April 22nd, 1934, 89 years ago. If I make it a few more months, it'll be 90. That depends on. I don't feel too bad, and might happen. But the thing is, all these generations of people, and we've gotten to this point in our civilization. Now, I don't know if it's this bad all around the world. I don't think so. I think it's because this stuff seems to start in the United States for some reason. And that's because it's gotten so the United States flaunts God's rules first, and then it spreads from there. And we're living in an age now where, they don't want to have generations of kids. They want to kill them. Now, you've got to say to yourself, there is something radically wrong when this generation of people, and mostly younger ones, but not all, want to take this direction in their life. And time's going to run out. I mean, I was listening to a guy here, just a while ago, and he was talking about how changes are, and how the urgency of paying attention is, waking up and paying attention to what's going on around. And he said you should read Romans 13, verses 11 to 14. That's Romans 13, verses 11 to 14. And, it really spells it out. Now, the thing is, I look at things and I think, what is the difference between somebody realizing that dangerous times are coming and they're going to be the worst the world has ever seen? Never will be that way again for that generation. That's, I don't know if it'll be this one, but it's coming to a point, because I think things will get even worse, of course, because it's going to go to the nth degree worse before God cuts it off. But that could be in another, who knows, it could be that we go along and do like frog in the water. All of a sudden you're boiling and you didn't know it. And they compare things to, there's people who say that we're living in a universe that is dual in nature, that our history is dual. What happened before in the old days is going to be happening again in this age. And that God has a plan. And I absolutely believe He has a plan. A great plan. By the way, before I forget, I'd like you to subscribe if possible. If I don't say it now, I'll let it go to the end and forget. And by that time, there's nobody watching till the end anyway. Not very many, maybe some. But anyway, the idea that we're going to get off scot-free, and all these people that say, oh, we're going to be taken out of here, don't be left behind, great rapture is coming. How come I only heard about that in the last part of my life? I never heard that in the beginning of my life. I only heard that in the last 15 years, maybe. How can it happen? How can that be? If that was the truth, I'm sure that there would be verses and verses and verses of that Jesus would have talked about. That great a thing happening, changing everything. He says that people will suffer. He said some of you could be killed, and some of you will be thrown in prison, whatever, but you'll only be in there for so many days and you'll be out again. And the other one is if you don't take the mark of the beast, which he calls the beast, that you will actually starve because you won't be able to buy anything. And in the Bible it says that there was a vision that somebody had, I forget who it was, of all these people below the throne, and they were crying out, when are you going to justify us for us being killed in your name, And he said, you just have to wait a little while till the rest have come and joined you. And, that's part of the plan. That's part of what's going to happen. That's not the end of everything for anyone. I mean, if you didn't take this mark of the beast and you starved or whatever, well, that's not the matter. Just you die a little earlier than you normally would. And that part will do well, because if you take the mark of the beast, God will punish you or take away all your possible saving things there is, and you will be gone. If you don't take the mark and you believe what God says, you will be blessed and rewarded for it. So if you lose your life, you gain your life. That's what he says. That doesn't mean everybody has to lose their life. And the thing is, what a lot of people haven't thought about is that this tribulation, end of days thing, where all this fighting and warring and troubles and hurricanes and volcanoes and storms and the deaths and disease are happening to me in one short little generation. And it's only part of that. It's only basically 3.5 years. The first 3.5 years that the Antichrist is on this earth is that he's going to basically just be kissing everybody's rear end because he's such a good guy, doing this and doing that. And then bang, after 3.5 years, the hammer comes down, and then he shows his true colors. And I think there's one thing that says a year of the Lord, which could be a year. Other things have times schedules how long they're going to last. And I mean, that's a lot. It would be a terrible amount of time, even if it's a few weeks or months that you had to live with that and suffering. But it comes to an end, and when that's all done, and the thing is, God has warned the whole world that if you don't keep my laws and live the way I have pronounced you to live, that you will not live in my kingdom to come, and you will be punished. And the punishment is death. And the only thing he did, he made it out so that anybody that believes that he sent his son, Jesus, to this earth, born as a baby, was on the earth for 33 years, started preaching when he was 30. He had to wait till he was 30 because in his time, you had to be 30 years old before you were considered an adult. Now, I finally got a different Bible the other day. I got, well, I had two. I think I'd mentioned this before, but I ordered it from Amazon. First one came and I foolishly didn't watch. It was such small print that I just had to squint. I couldn't really hardly read it. And I got 20/20 vision. And so I donated that over here to this library. And I got another one with the red lettering. That's what I was after. Because I've said this, and I might as well say it again because I think it commends repeating, is that I cannot believe anyone, doesn't matter who. They're tainted. They're talking through their hat because they do not know what's going on. They're repeating what they're told. And what they're being told, in most cases, is false lies. And they believe it. And the ones who are promoting the lies knows that it works. That people are like sheep and they'll just repeat and believe whatever. And even if people just bald-faced lie to them, they believe it. Some take a little longer than others to believe it, but they finally give in and believe it. I've gotten so that the reason I wanted a new red letter Bible was because I'm only gonna, well, I have now for, I don't know how long. I said, well, it's a while now. I forget how many years it's been. But I basically say that I only trust what God has said in the Bible through his prophets and through his, all his prophets in the Old Testament. The ones he had write the books, they all wrote these books. They weren't capable of writing them on their own. They were, basically being God's secretary. I mean, Moses wasn't around at the beginning of the world, yet he wrote about it, everything about it, and it's all correct. So it's God breathed, and people who are in tune with God and whatever else. Like in the old days, there was some pretty godly people. And they weren't, like nowadays, you're led astray. If you're up and looking and listening to something, there's a good chance you're being led astray by something. Because communication is just ongoing, all around you, every day. Now, more than ever, and it'll most likely get a little even worse. It'll have its implants of some kind that'll run 24 hours in your head. This last few years have even gotten even worse, Just terrible. Like people lie for profit. Real estate is sold by lies, mostly. Stock market is all promotional. They call it promotion, but really what it is just BS lies to suck people in. And it's a tough world. I commend anybody who's raising kids right now, because not that they shouldn't, because the kids, it doesn't matter. It's their life. They can have a life too. But it's not easy. Not anywhere is easy anymore. In fact, if this carries on for a while longer, governments will be mandating women to get pregnant instead of killing their babies, because the population will drop so bad that they'll have to do something to try to build up the population. I don't know, maybe it may not last that long. Yes, I feel sorry for a generation that believes that They can do whatever they want. They have no fear of God whatsoever. No fear of his judgments. No fear of anything. And that puts them in a very bad spot. Because if they don't have any fear, they are not going to be sorry for what they've done, what they've broken God's laws. They're not going to ask for any forgiveness. And God says he will allow them to condemn themselves. He said, I won't condemn them. I'll allow them to condemn themselves. Well, that's what's going to happen. Yeah, I think that's the biggest worry you can have, anyone can have, is getting hard-hearted, stubborn, hard-hearted, and don't believe that you're accountable to God for anything. No, I mean, I'm glad that if I do all kinds of stuff wrong and stuff, and it bothers me right away, and I have to ask for forgiveness for it. And I'm glad that it's unlimited forgiveness, because that definitely is what's needed. Yeah, and yeah. Well, anyway, don't be shy. Look up Romans 13, 11 to 14, and see what you think. And if you get a chance, please subscribe. It helps my numbers go up a bit. And anyway, that's it. I hope you don't mind me talking about these things and promoting. I'm always promoting this kind of stuff, but I think it's true, and I think it's it's really, out there and dangerous and needs to be warned. People, nobody warned me very much. But anyway, until I see you again, God bless you and good night.